What if the dead never left? And some places in America are cursed just by standing there. From abandoned asylums to forests that whisper your name, these 4 locations aren't just haunted, they're deadly, based on chilling real-life encounters. Subscribe to The Last Knock before you dive in, if you dare, where the air grows heavy, thick with an unseen presence, and silence feels less like peace and more like a warning that something is watching, something ancient and malevolent. Freetown State Forest in southeastern Massachusetts is one of them. A place steeped in history, mystery, and a palpable sense of dread. It's not the trees or trails people talk about, though they are beautiful in their own right, but the feeling, the oppressive weight that settles on your shoulders the moment you cross its borders. A sense of being watched, not by curious animals, but by something far more sinister, something that lurks just beyond the edge of perception. A cold spot on your neck, a sudden chill that has nothing to do with the weather, a feeling that something is breathing down your neck. The forest holding its breath, as if waiting for you to make a wrong move, to step off the path and into its waiting embrace. The fog here is legendary, a character in its own right, seeping up from the ground and swallowing the path ahead, erasing the world around you and leaving you adrift in a sea of grey. One moment you see for 100 yards. The sun filters through the trees, creating dappled patterns on the forest floor. The next, the fog rolls in, thick and impenetrable, and you can't see your own hand. The world shrinks to the space directly in front of your face. Every small noise is amplified, distorted by the fog and the oppressive silence, turning the rustle of leaves into footsteps, the snapping of a twig into the sound of something large moving through the underbrush, the call of a bird into a warning, a screech that seems to carry a message of impending doom. Visitors report a deep unease, a primal fear that whispers to their instincts, telling them to turn back, to flee while they still can. Shadows move in the corner of your eye, playing tricks on your mind, making you question what you see and what you only think you see. And the forest feels alive, resenting your presence, as if you've trespassed on sacred ground and disturbed something that should have been left undisturbed. Many who enter with bravado hurry back to their cars, unable to shake the feeling they're being followed, their hearts pounding in their chests, desperate to escape the oppressive atmosphere. As dusk settles, the path blurs, the familiar landmarks disappear, and the forest becomes a labyrinth of shadows and whispers. Every tree looks the same, an endless repetition of gnarled trunks and tangled branches, and your voice is swallowed by the woods, lost in the vastness of the forest. Freetown State Forest strips away your confidence, your sense of direction, and your belief in the rational world, leaving you with the chilling realization, the understanding that you are not in control, that you are at the mercy of something far greater than yourself, that you are a guest among very old, very dark secrets, secrets that have been buried in these woods for centuries, secrets that are best left undisturbed. This is not just a forest, it's a repository of forgotten lore, a place where the past refuses to stay buried. It's a place that waits for you to make a mistake, to let your guard down, to wander off the path, and then it will claim you as its own. The darkness in Freetown State Forest is ancient, a palpable presence that settles deep within your bones. It's a darkness that predates the modern world, a feeling that something has always been here, watching, waiting. It's woven into the land's history of conflict and suffering, a tapestry of pain etched into the very earth. The echoes of past tragedies resonate through the trees, whispering tales of hardship and loss. During King Philip's War, the Wampanoag people fought a brutal battle here, a desperate struggle for survival against overwhelming odds. The land remembers their sacrifice, their courage, and their ultimate defeat. And it's said the spirits of the fallen never left, forever bound to this place by the violence and sorrow of their final moments. They linger in the mist, their presence a constant reminder of the bloodshed that stained this ground. After the war, the land's reputation only grew darker. A shroud of mystery and fear descended upon Freetown, fueled by unexplained events and unsettling rumors. People disappeared, vanishing without a trace into the dense woods, leaving behind only unanswered questions and lingering dread. And legends of monsters and spirits took root, tales whispered in hushed tones around campfires, warning of the dangers that lurked in the shadows. Tales of giant birds, creatures of immense size and power, soaring through the skies above the forest canopy. And ape-like beasts roaming the woods became common warnings, cautionary tales meant to keep people from venturing too deep into the forest's embrace. Through the centuries, the forest became a haven for outlaws, a place where those who lived outside the law could find refuge and anonymity, and a site of mysterious deaths, unexplained tragedies that added to the forest's already grim reputation. Authorities dismissed these as accidents, attributing them to natural causes or the perils of the wilderness. But locals believed something ancient and evil lingered, a malevolent force that preyed on the unwary and claimed the lives of those who dared to trespass. Every strange event and disappearance, every unexplained occurrence, served only to deepen the sense of unease and reinforce the belief that Freetown was a place touched by darkness. Layered onto this foundation of dread, each new tragedy adding another layer to the forest's already heavy burden. The forest didn't become haunted overnight. Its reputation wasn't built on a single event, but on centuries of accumulated sorrow and fear. It's been accumulating ghosts for centuries, each one adding to the forest's spectral presence, making it a place where the veil between worlds seems thin and fragile. The unease you feel, the prickling sensation on the back of your neck, the feeling of being watched, is the weight of all the sorrow and terror this land has witnessed, a palpable burden that presses down on you, reminding you that you are not alone. Freetown's fear is not just legend, it's not just a collection of spooky stories told to frighten children. It's history, alive in the soil, a living testament to the darkness that has taken root in this place and refuses to let go. Freetown State Forest is the dark heart of the Bridgewater Triangle, a region infamous for paranormal activity. Within its boundaries, UFOs, cryptids, and ghostly apparitions are reported with unsettling frequency. The forest is a magnet for the bizarre. Bigfoot sightings, giant birds, and mysterious lights are recurring patterns. Since the 1960s, residents have seen silent triangular craft and even claimed alien abductions. The area feels like a window between worlds, where reality's rules break down. Inside Freetown, the silence is broken by unexplained sounds, the darkness by strange lights. Here, the threats are not just historical or spiritual, but possibly extraterrestrial or interdimensional. The forest becomes a realm where the normal rules simply do not apply. In the 1970s and 80s, Freetown's ancient fears took a human form, rumors of cult activity and dark rituals deep in the woods. Disturbing discoveries, circles of stones, strange symbols, and the remains of ritual sacrifices turned legend into reality. Police responded to reports of chanting and fires, often finding evidence but rarely the perpetrators. The forest's reputation as a place of evil drew those seeking to harness its dark energy. Even today, people stumble upon unsettling items suggesting ritualistic activity continues. The fear here is not just supernatural, but also the threat of encountering people with violent intentions. In Freetown, you worry about both spirits and those hiding just beyond the trees. Police files confirm Freetown's dark reputation. Makeshift altars, melted black candles, and strange symbols found deep in the woods. The most chilling evidence: animal carcasses ritually mutilated, pointing to blood sacrifice. These discoveries aren't just relics of the past. Hikers and rangers still find them today. The vastness of the forest makes it nearly impossible to patrol, and those responsible vanish into the darkness. The evidence rarely leads to arrests, but it's a constant, silent testament to ongoing horrors. For law enforcement, the forest is a frustrating, unsolved puzzle. The altars and symbols are reminders that Freetown's secrets are not just old ghosts, but active, human-driven terrors. The forest's darkness is both ancient and alarmingly current. One of Freetown's most haunting mysteries is the disappearance of Emily, a 20-year-old college student, in 2005. Emily, drawn by the forest's reputation, set out alone to take photos and never returned. Her last texts were cheerful, but as dusk fell, she admitted to being lost. When she didn't come home, police found her car undisturbed at the trailhead. A massive search turned up only a single footprint near an unmarked path. No camera, no backpack, nothing else. It was as if she vanished into thin air. The lack of evidence left her family and investigators with only questions and dread. Emily's story is a modern legend, a chilling reminder that the forest still claims victims. Her disappearance is not just a tragedy, but a warning. In Freetown, some who enter never leave. The heart of Emily's mystery is her final text: "Something's in the woods with me." Sent at 4:53 p.m., it was abrupt, contextless, and terrifying. Her boyfriend tried to call, but her phone went straight to voicemail. She never replied. Investigators considered animals, people, or something else, but found no evidence of a struggle or attack. The forest seemed to swallow her whole, leaving only this digital ghost. Emily's last words have become modern folklore, encapsulating the primal dread of Freetown. What did she see? The question haunts the forest. Her story is a stark warning to all who enter. In Freetown, the line between legend and reality is razor thin. Sometimes the woods do not let you leave. Freetown State Forest is sometimes called the suicide forest of the Midwest, a misnomer, but the comparison to Japan's Aokigahara is apartment. The forest has been the site of numerous suicides, adding another layer of tragedy to its grim history. Its isolation and dark reputation draw those in despair, amplifying the land's sorrow. Law enforcement and rangers have recovered bodies, each incident deepening the forest's somber legacy. Every quiet clearing feels like a potential unmarked grave. Some believe the spirits of the lost linger, their sadness feeding the oppressive atmosphere. Visitors report unexplained weeping and sudden waves of grief. Whether or not you believe in ghosts, the forest is haunted by memory and pain. Freetown's reputation is a stark reminder of the real human suffering entwined with its mysteries. Freetown's mystery endures. It lingers in the air, a palpable presence that clings to the ancient trees and whispers on the wind. Because it's built on centuries of history, folklore, and chilling facts, these elements have intertwined, creating a tapestry of the strange and unsettling. The stories have been passed down through generations, each retelling adding another layer to the enigma. The forest taps into our primal fears. Darkness, being lost, the feeling of isolation that creeps into your bones when you realize you're utterly alone, the unknown. What lurks just beyond the edge of the light? What secrets are hidden beneath the soil? Its power lies in ambiguity, the way it plays with your senses, making you question what is real and what is not. Every shadow could be a ghost, a monster, or just your imagination playing tricks on you in the dim light. The lack of answers makes the legend grow. The more questions that remain unanswered, the more the stories evolve and expand. Every visitor adds to the story, bringing their own experiences and interpretations to the ever-growing lore. Standing at the edge of the woods at night, the darkness seems to press in, a tangible force. You feel the weight of every tale, the echoes of the past resonating in the present. The cults, their strange rituals performed under the watchful eyes of the ancient trees. The vanishings, people who entered the woods and were never seen again, leaving behind only unanswered questions. Emily's last text, a chilling reminder of the forest's power to isolate and consume. The sensation of being watched is undeniable, an unseen presence that follows your every step, making the hairs on the back of your neck stand on end. This is why Freetown's secrets will never be fully solved. The forest guards them jealously, revealing only fragments to those who dare to venture within. It exists at the crossroads of history, psychology, and the inexplicable, a place where the boundaries between reality and the supernatural blur. The forest challenges our understanding and reminds us that some places remain truly mysterious, forever beyond our grasp. Freetown watches and waits, holding its secrets close, guarding them from prying eyes and curious minds. Anyone who enters leaves with more questions than answers, their minds filled with unsettling images and lingering doubts. And sometimes, a chilling story of their own, a tale of terror that they will carry with them for the rest of their days. Some places, marked by tragedy and despair, seem to absorb the pain and fear of those who pass through them, holding onto those emotions like a sponge. They become permanent records, etched in the very fabric of the building, telling silent stories of human suffering. The Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas is one such place, a location steeped in history and shrouded in mystery. Perched majestically on a hilltop, overlooking the town below, this grand Victorian structure is not just a hotel, it's a legend, often called America's most haunted hotel. I've visited many haunted sites across the country, places whispered about in hushed tones, but the Crescent is different. It possesses an undeniable presence. Its darkness isn't just in the shadows, it seeps into your soul, clinging to you long after you've left. Its history isn't just written in books. It stains the very air, a palpable weight that presses down on you. Built in 1886 with dreams of opulence and grandeur, As a luxurious getaway for the elite, it promised healing and comfort, a sanctuary from the outside world. But behind its elegant facade, behind the carefully crafted image of serenity, lies a story of deceit and death, a dark chapter etched into the hotel's very being. The walls have witnessed hope turn to despair, dreams shattered against the cold reality of what was to come, silent screams of those promised a cure, a lifeline in their darkest hour, but given only pain, their suffering amplified within these very walls. The energy here is heavy, thick with the echoes of the past, a constant reminder of horrors past, a weight that never truly lifts. This isn't just a place of bumps in the night, a creaking floorboard or a flickering light. It's a full-blown paranormal hotspot, a nexus of supernatural activity. Every floor, every room, holds a piece of the puzzle, has its own story, its own ghost, waiting to be heard. But one room stands out, a focal point of the hotel's haunted reputation, room 218. The concentration of negative energy there is so powerful, so intense it can physically manifest, making its presence known in terrifying ways. To understand what happens in room 218, to truly grasp the horrors within, we must look back, delving into the annals of history. We must face the man who turned this hotel into a house of horrors, a place of suffering and despair. Norman Baker, a name synonymous with cruelty and deception. His legacy of suffering, his dark deeds, fuels the paranormal activity here, creating a vortex of restless spirits. His story is the key to room 218's terrifying mystery, the answer to the questions that linger in the air. We must investigate the history, piecing together the fragments of the past. We must understand the claims, listening to the voices that whisper from beyond. We must uncover the truth, no matter how dark or disturbing it may be. The Crescent Hotel's secrets are waiting, hidden just beneath the surface. And room 218 is where they come alive, where the veil between worlds thins. Are you ready to see what lies beneath the surface? Are you brave enough to confront the darkness? By 1937, the once grand Crescent Hotel had fallen into disrepair, a mere shadow of its former glory. The vibrant social hub it once was had faded, leaving behind an air of neglect and forgotten elegance. That is, until Norman Baker arrived, promising a new chapter for the dilapidated building. Baker, a flamboyant millionaire, a radio personality known for his controversial opinions, and a self-proclaimed doctor with no legitimate medical credentials, boldly claimed he possessed a revolutionary cure for cancer, a disease that terrified and plagued the nation. With grand promises and a silver tongue, he bought the hotel, securing his base of operations. He transformed its appearance, painting it in garish shades of lavender and purple, a stark contrast to its original, understated elegance. And with a flourish, he renamed it the Baker Cancer Curable Hospital, a beacon of false hope for the desperate. Drawn by Baker's charismatic pronouncements and the promise of a miracle, desperate people from across the country flocked here, seeking salvation. They arrived with heavy hearts and fading hope, clinging to the belief that Baker held the key to their survival. Baker, ever the showman, promised a cure that defied conventional medicine, a cure without the dreaded surgery or debilitating radiation. He sold them hope, a commodity more precious than gold to those facing their mortality, and in exchange, he systematically took their life savings, draining their resources and leaving them vulnerable. But beneath the vibrant paint and the confident facade, the hospital was built on a foundation of lies and deceit. Baker, the self-proclaimed doctor, had no legitimate medical training whatsoever. He was a charlatan preying on the vulnerable, and his so-called cure was nothing more than a toxic concoction of questionable ingredients, a dangerous mixture that did absolutely nothing to combat the disease, instead worsening patients' suffering and hastening their demise. While families received carefully crafted letters assuring them that their loved ones were improving under Baker's care, inside the hospital's walls, patients were dying slow, agonizing deaths, far from the miracle they had so desperately sought. The Baker Cancer Curable Hospital operated for less than 3 years, a brief but devastating chapter in the Crescent's history, but the suffering inflicted within its walls was immense, leaving an indelible stain on the building's legacy. The exact number of deaths that occurred during Baker's reign of terror remains unknown to this day, because Baker meticulously falsified records, obscuring the truth and covering up his crimes. Patients were deliberately isolated from their families, kept away from outside contact, their true conditions hidden from the world as they deteriorated in secret, their cries for help unheard. The once beautiful hotel, a symbol of luxury and leisure, became a prison for the sick and vulnerable. The promise of a cure, the beacon of hope that drew them in, became a cruel and agonizing death sentence. The overwhelming energy of despair, the crushing weight of betrayal, seeped into the very walls of the Crescent, saturating the building with a palpable sense of sorrow, and it never truly left, a permanent stain on the hotel's soul. The Crescent's tragic past, the story of Baker's deception and the suffering he caused, is more than just a historical footnote. It's a haunting presence that permeates the building, a lingering echo of the pain and loss experienced within its walls. The pain lingers in the air, a palpable weight that settles upon visitors, echoing through every hallway, resonating in every room, a constant reminder of the suffering that unfolded here. Baker's deception, his cruel exploitation of the vulnerable, left deep and lasting scars, wounds that time, it seems, cannot fully heal, a testament to the depth of the tragedy. And those unhealed scars, that lingering pain, fuel the hotel's darkest legends, the tales of ghostly encounters and unexplained phenomena. Room 218 in particular is where those legends come to life, where the veil between worlds seems thin and where the echoes of the past are most vividly felt. Who was Norman Baker? A question that leads us down a dark and twisted path into the heart of deception and despair. He was more than a con artist. He was a master manipulator, a charlatan who preyed on the hopes and fears of the vulnerable. He was a wolf in sheep's clothing, a snake oil salesman of the most dangerous kind. Dressed in white suits and lavender ties, he cultivated an image of sophistication and trustworthiness, a facade that hid his sinister intentions. He used his radio station, a powerful tool in that era, to attack the medical establishment, branding them as corrupt and incompetent, all while presenting himself as a revolutionary hero, a savior of the sick. Charismatic and ruthless, he knew how to work a crowd, how to instill false hope, and how to exploit desperation. He preyed on the desperate, those who had nowhere else to turn, offering false promises of cures and relief. Before Arkansas, he ran a similar scam in Iowa, peddling his bogus treatments and miracle cures, until he was exposed and run out of town by the American Medical Association, who saw him for the fraud he was. In the Ozarks, he used the Crescent's grandeur, its imposing architecture and reputation, to legitimize his fraud, to give his lies an air of respectability. Inside, behind the opulent facade, his true nature emerged, a horrifying glimpse into the depths of his depravity. Gruesome experiments, conducted without regard for human life, body parts in jars, a macabre collection of his failures, a makeshift morgue in the basement, a chilling testament to the lives he destroyed. The morgue remains, a place of profound sadness and terror, a silent witness to unspeakable acts. The souls of his victims are said to be trapped there, their torment replaying for eternity, forever bound to the place of their suffering. Baker's downfall finally came in 1939, when his web of lies began to unravel. He was arrested for mail fraud, a small charge compared to the true extent of his crimes, and sentenced to prison, bringing a small measure of justice to his victims. The hospital closed its doors, a monument to broken promises and shattered lives, but the damage was done. The scars remained. The Crescent was forever marked by his evil, stained by the suffering he inflicted within its walls. His dark spirit and those of his victims linger still, trapped between worlds, forever seeking peace. Their suffering is woven into the hotel's legacy, a constant reminder of the darkness that once resided there. The haunting is not just about ghosts, it's about the pain that created them, the anguish and despair that permeate the very foundations of the building. And that pain, that lingering echo of suffering, is most powerful, most palpable, in room 218. After Baker's hospital closed, the stories began. The hotel was restored, but the past could not be erased. Guests and staff reported unexplained sounds, gurneys rolling, mournful cries, urgent whispers. Apparitions linked to the hospital era appeared: lost patients, a man in a dark suit, and Michael, the stonemason who died during construction. Michael's playful spirit haunts room 218, but darker energies overshadow him. The fourth floor, once the cancer ward, is the most active. Guests feel sudden chills, see shadowy figures, and capture ghostly voices. A nurse in white, pushing a gurney, vanishes into the wall. These aren't isolated incidents. They're consistent, spanning decades. The hotel feels alive, breathing with memories of tragedy. The whispers in the walls are the voices of the dead. The Crescent's past is never truly gone. Of all the haunted rooms, room 218 is the most intense. It's where Michael, the stonemason, fell to his death, and where Baker's patients suffered. This mix of energies has turned room 218 into a paranormal vortex. Guests report construction noises, objects moving, TVs flickering, and doors slamming. Some feel unseen hands touch them at night, or the sensation of someone sitting on the bed. The most chilling reports are the screams from the bathroom gone when investigated. The energy is heavy, oppressive. Even staff are wary of the room. It feels like you're never alone. The veil between worlds is thin here. Spirits are not just echoes, they're active, desperate to be noticed. Room 218 is more than haunted. It's a portal. The past and present collide in this space. Those who enter feel the weight of history, and sometimes the spirits reach out. The nurse's apparition is one of the Crescent's most unsettling spirits. She's seen on the 4th floor, once the cancer ward, moving silently in a crisp white uniform, pushing an invisible gurney. She never speaks, just appears, then vanishes. One guest awoke to find her standing at the foot of the bed, watching silently before passing through the door. Many hear her rubber-soled shoes and the rattle of a gurney in the night. In room 218, guests wake to find their blankets tucked tightly, as if checked by a nurse. Was she complicit in Baker's fraud, or a caring soul trapped by tragedy? Her identity is lost, but her spirit remains. She is a silent witness to the suffering that occurred. Some people never leave the place where they tried to heal. For years, room 218's stories were just legends, until 2018. Randall, a tourist from Texas, checked in, drawn by the room's haunted reputation. He was healthy, excited, and ready for a night of ghost hunting. The next day, he didn't check out. Staff found him dead on the floor. No signs of struggle, no explanation. Police investigated, but the cause of death remained a mystery. The news shocked the town and the paranormal community. Room 218's legend was now tied to a real tragedy. What happened to Randall? The mystery had only deepened. The investigation into Randall's death was thorough, but the autopsy was inconclusive. No drugs, no injuries, no clear cause. He had simply died. Security footage showed Randall entering room 218 alone. No one else entered or left. But in the final hours, a shadowy human-shaped anomaly appeared on the tape, drifting out of the room and vanishing. The footage has never been released, but those who've seen it call it deeply unsettling. Was it a spirit? Was it Randall's own life force leaving? The tapes provided no answers, only more questions. Randall's death became the most chilling chapter in the Crescent's haunted history. The room's secrets remain locked away. The past refuses to rest. The evidence is haunting but inconclusive. The legend of room 218 grows darker still. Years later, the questions remain. The official cause of Randall's death is undetermined. The shadowy figure on the tape is unexplained. Skeptics call it coincidence, a glitch, a tragic accident. But those who felt the Crescent's oppressive energy know there's more. Could the room's history of suffering have a real effect on the living? Did Randall encounter something so terrifying his body gave out? We may never know. The mystery endures, a warning. The paranormal is not a game. What really happened in room 218? The answer may be lost to the shadows forever. Some places feel different. Stull Cemetery is one of them. It sits on a lonely Kansas hill, a quiet collection of old stones and forgotten names. From afar, it looks like any other country graveyard, a place for memories and peace. But people don't come here for peace. They come for the stories. The tales told about Stull are dark, whispered late at night when every sound feels ominous. For generations, people have claimed this cemetery is more than a burial ground. They say it's a door, a gateway to unimaginable darkness. Evil, they claim, has seeped into the soil, staining the very air. Legends speak of hidden steps, of dates when the veil between worlds grows thin, and of a powerful, malevolent presence. The cemetery is old, its stones weathered, inscriptions faded. A small stone church once stood here, but now only crumbling walls remain. Some say the church was destroyed by something that didn't want a house of God on unholy ground. Today, fences and no trespassing signs surround the cemetery. The sheriff's department patrols, especially on Halloween, not to keep ghosts in, but to keep thrill seekers out. The warnings only add to the mystery, making people wonder what secrets are being protected. The stories spread, growing with each telling. With every new story, the legend of Stull Cemetery sinks deeper into American folklore. It's a place where the ordinary and the supernatural blur. The quiet hill in Kansas has become a magnet for those drawn to darkness. Here, the line between legend and reality is as thin as the morning mist, and so, the legend endures. At the heart of Stull's legend is the Devil's Staircase, a hidden set of steps said to appear only twice a year. On the spring equinox and Halloween, at midnight, a crack opens in the earth. From it, stone stairs descend into darkness, a supposed gateway to hell. The legend claims this is the devil's personal entrance to our world. On these nights, he walks the cemetery, making it his domain. Some say if you're there at midnight, you might see the stairs appear. But the warning is clear: to descend is to vanish forever. The story's origins are murky, likely starting as a local rumor among university students. In the 1970s, a student newspaper article about Stull's spooky reputation helped the legend spread. The idea of a hidden staircase to hell captured imaginations and refused to let go. No one has ever produced proof, no photos, no evidence. Skeptics point out the staircase's supposed location changes with every retelling. Sometimes it's under the old church, sometimes near a gnarled tree. But the core remains a forbidden path to ultimate evil. It's a story that taps into primal fear. The Devil's Staircase is a legend that haunts Stull Cemetery and those who dare to visit. The power of the tale is not in proof, but in the fear it inspires, and that's why it endures. For over a century, a small stone church stood on Stull's Hill. Built in 1867, it was meant to offer comfort to mourners. But as legends grew, the church became part of the story, no longer holy, but cursed. People claimed strange things happened within its walls. Bottles wouldn't break, rain wouldn't fall inside. The church fell into ruin, its roof collapsed, and the decay fueled the legends. It became the supposed site of the Devil's Staircase and a meeting place for witches. Some said the church was built to contain evil and its destruction would unleash it. Others claimed it was struck by unnatural lightning, a sign of unholy ground. In 2002, the last walls were demolished by the landowner, tired of trespassers. The church was gone, but the legends only grew stronger. Now its absence is part of the mystery. People whisper it was destroyed to hide evidence of the gateway. The ruined church became a character in Stull's drama, a silent victim of the evil said to reside there. Its story is gone from the hill, but not from the legend. The empty space is a reminder. Sometimes what's missing is the most haunting of all, and so the myth persists. One of Stull's strangest legends involves the Pope. The story claims that in 1993, Pope John Paul II ordered his plane to avoid flying over Stull Cemetery. Supposedly, the Vatican considered it unholy ground, too dangerous to even cross above. This tale spread quickly, adding a sense of authority to the legend. If the Pope avoided Stull, people reasoned, there must be something to fear. But journalists found no evidence of a changed flight path. The Archdiocese called the story unfounded. Still, the image of the Pope's plane veering away from cursed ground is too powerful to let go. Fact or fiction, it's become a central part of the Stull myth. Sometimes the best stories are the ones we want to believe. Beyond grand legends, Stull is home to smaller, chilling ghost stories. Visitors report disembodied voices, sudden cold spots, and a heavy, oppressive feeling. The most common sighting shadow figures darting between graves or standing motionless in the dark. Some see a man-shaped shadow, others a black dog with glowing red eyes. These figures are linked to the devil's visitations or lost souls. Another tale centers on the witch's grave, said to be the source of much paranormal activity. An old pine tree, once rumored to be a gallows, added to the dread, though it's long gone. These personal encounters make the cemetery feel truly haunted. The idea of a shadowy figure just out of reach is immediate and terrifying. These stories give people goosebumps and keep them coming back. The fear is personal, visceral, and more believable than the grand legends. In Stull, every shadow seems to move, every sound could be supernatural. In the internet age, Stull's legend found new life. In 2013, a group of paranormal investigators live-streamed their Halloween night investigation. They promised to stay until midnight, hoping to capture proof of the supernatural. The stream was tense. Cameras cut through darkness, equipment tracked cold spots, thousands watched online. As midnight neared, one investigator, Michael, became separated. His camera showed chaos, static, panicked breathing, then silence. The main group's feed also glitched. When restored, Michael was missing. The story exploded online. Some claimed Michael was taken by the gateway. Others said they saw strange lights or shadows before the feed cut out. But no missing person report was ever filed, and the group vanished from public view. Skeptics called it a hoax, a publicity stunt. Real or staged, the story added a chilling new chapter to Stull's legend. In the digital age, even a live stream can become a ghost story. The line between fact and fiction is blurrier than ever. Stull's mystery adapts, surviving in every new medium. The legend continues to grow. Why do places like Stull capture our imagination? It's not just about ghosts. It's about the power of storytelling. Stull's legends are folk horror at its finest. An isolated setting, a dark history, a supernatural threat. The Gateway to Hell is a story of ultimate stakes, elevating it to modern myth. Details like the Pope's detour and the ruined church add layers of credibility. The lack of proof lets the legend thrive. Ambiguity is fertile ground for fear. Each person fills in the blanks with their own anxieties. The setting itself, a lonely cemetery, weathered stones, gnarled trees, does half the work. The story provides the framework. Our minds supply the terror. The mystery is more compelling than any answer. Stull looks the part, so we believe the tales. In the end, the legend is as real as we make it. Stull's appeal speaks to our need for mystery. In a world explained by science, ghost stories offer a thrill, a glimpse into the unknown. Fear is exhilarating. It's why we seek out haunted places and scary stories. Trespassing in Stull is a rite of passage, a test of courage. Sharing these legends connects us, turning fear into a communal experience. The internet amplifies this, creating global campfires for believers and skeptics alike. Whether Stull is truly haunted almost doesn't matter. Its power lies in the stories attached to the soil. These tales reflect our anxieties, our fascination with evil, and our hunger for wonder. Chasing Stull's ghosts is really about chasing a feeling, a brush with the extraordinary. Today, Stull Cemetery is quieter than ever. The church and hanging tree are gone, but the stories persist. The legend is now more powerful than the place itself. It lives in our imagination, growing with every retelling. Stull's story began as a whisper, became a national phenomenon, and now exists in the perfect space between fact and fiction. The real mystery isn't about finding a staircase to hell. It's about what our search reveals about us. We use these tales to explore evil from a safe distance, to ask what if without consequence. The cemetery becomes a container for our fears, a stage for our darkest imaginings. Is Stull really a gateway to hell? The evidence says no. But in folklore, the answer is never simple. As long as we wonder about what lies in the shadows, the story of Stull will be told. The legend has become its own reality, and that's what keeps it alive. Some places are forever marked by tragedy, their walls holding on to darkness that never fades. The Villisca Axe murder house in Iowa is one of those places. It looks like any other old home, but it's not. This house is a tomb, the final resting place for 8 souls, 6 of them children, whose lives were stolen in a single horrific night. The energy here is raw, angry, and deeply sad. It's not just haunted, it's a place that demands respect and tests even the bravest investigators. Imagine approaching that simple white house, its windows like dark, empty eyes. You know what happened inside on that night in 1912. Every creak and rustle feels like a warning, but we have to go inside. We have to understand. Our mission, to give a voice to those silenced so violently. The past is alive here. The moment you cross the threshold, you're in their time. You walk through rooms where a family once laughed, unaware of the evil about to descend. And as you stand in the darkness, you realize you are not alone. They are there with you, and they have a story to tell, a story of unimaginable terror. This is not just a ghost story, it's a wound that never healed. The house breathes with the memory of that night. Every investigator who enters feels the weight of what happened. The silence is deafening, the air heavy with sorrow. This is Villisca, a place where the past refuses to die, and where the dead are still waiting to be heard. Welcome to the house on the hill. Before the horror, the Moore house was filled with light and laughter. Josiah and Sarah Moore, with their 4 children, were the heart of their community. Their home was a place of warmth, faith, and hope. On June 9, 1912, the family attended a church event, joined by 2 young friends, Lena and Ina Stillinger. It was a night of joy, ending with the girls invited for a sleepover. No one knew they were being watched. The family returned home, settled in for the night, unaware of the evil lurking inside. The killer, likely hiding in the attic or a closet, waited for hours. This was no random act. It was a calculated plan to destroy an entire family. The innocence of that night makes the horror that followed even more profound. The Moores and the Stillinger sisters were safe in their own home, or so they thought. The tragedy was set in motion by a monster hiding in the shadows. The normalcy of their final night is what makes this story so chilling. A happy family, a simple act of kindness, and a fate sealed by evil. The darkness that descended on the Moore house shattered more than just a family. It shattered the peace of an entire town, and it left a scar that would never heal. This is where the nightmare began. The next morning, the Moore house was silent. Too silent. Neighbor Mary Peckham noticed the family hadn't started their chores. The curtains were drawn, the house still. After failed attempts to reach them, Mary called Josiah's brother, Ross. With dread, Ross unlocked the door and stepped inside. The house was dark, suffocatingly quiet. He found the Stillinger sisters first, murdered in their beds. Law enforcement soon uncovered the full horror. Josiah, Sarah, their 4 children, and the Stillinger girls, all brutally killed with an axe. The killer moved room to room, ending 8 lives in the dead of night. Every mirror and glass was covered, a plate of uneaten food left behind, and the axe propped against a wall. The doors were locked from the inside. The killer vanished without a trace. The peaceful home had become a scene of unimaginable violence. The town was left in shock, the sense of safety forever shattered. The killer's identity and motive remained a mystery. The horror of that morning would haunt Villisca and the nation for generations. The house became a symbol of unanswered questions and lingering evil. The tragedy was complete, but the story was far from over. The silence of that morning still echoes today, and the mystery endures. The Villisca murders sent shockwaves across America. An entire family and 2 guests, wiped out in a single night by a phantom. The investigation was flawed from the start. Evidence was trampled by curious townspeople. Suspects ranged from business rivals to a traveling minister, but nothing stuck. Theories abounded. A hired killer, a madman, a serial murderer passing through. But the truth slipped away, lost in the chaos. The killer vanished like a ghost, leaving only questions. The case grew colder with each passing year. No justice, no closure, just a haunting question mark. The Moore family and the Stillinger sisters became victims not just of violence, but of mystery. The lack of answers is part of the tragedy. The Villisca axe murders remain one of America's greatest unsolved crimes. The house stands as a monument to a mystery that refuses to die, and the darkness lingers. Long after the crime scene tape disappeared, the house remained, a silent witness to tragedy. Over the years, residents reported strange occurrences, footsteps, whispers, the sound of children crying. The house seemed to remember. Its energy never faded. The violence of that night became imprinted on the walls. Paranormal investigators were drawn to Villisca, hoping to capture proof of the haunting. The house was restored to its 1912 appearance and opened for tours and overnight stays. That's when the activity intensified. Visitors heard clearer whispers, louder footsteps, and saw objects move on their own. The spirits seemed desperate to tell their story. Villisca became legendary in the paranormal world, not just a story, but an experience. Evidence collected here is among the most compelling anywhere. Guests leave with stories they can't explain, and a sadness that lingers. The house doesn't just hold memories, it pulls you into them. It forces you to confront the darkness, and it doesn't let go easily. Villisca is more than haunted. It's alive with the past, and it wants to be heard. At Villisca, we search for hard evidence of the haunting. Digital recorders capture chilling EVP's voices in the darkness, sometimes whispering, "Get out." We've received direct, intelligent responses to our questions. Full spectrum and thermal cameras reveal unexplained light anomalies and moving shadows. In the attic, drastic temperature drops appear and vanish. We've recorded the sounds of children playing, laughing, and crying, sometimes a ball bouncing when no one is upstairs. Heavy footsteps echo through the house, retracing the killer's path. The evidence points to both residual and intelligent hauntings. Some spirits seem aware, reaching out for justice or warning us of lingering evil. Our job is to listen, document, and try to understand their message. Villisca's ghosts are not just echoes they're trying to communicate. The house is a bridge between worlds, and the evidence is undeniable. For years, Villisca's stories were about whispers and shadows, until 2014, when the darkness turned physical. Paranormal investigator Robert Lawson Jr. spent the night in the house. After midnight, his friends found him stabbed in the chest by his own hand. He survived, but his explanation chilled everyone. He claimed an unseen force took control, demanding blood. He heard a voice. The house wanted violence again. This incident changed everything. It suggested a darker, more malevolent energy, one that could influence the living. Was it the killer's spirit, or something inhuman drawn by tragedy? Some believe an entity now feeds on the fear and pain within those walls. The 2014 stabbing is a stark warning. Villisca is not a game. The forces here are real and dangerous. The veil is thin. The darkness can reach out and touch you. It can get inside your head. The house doesn't just want to scare, it can harm. When you enter Villisca, you play by its rules, and sometimes those rules are deadly. No one leaves the Villisca Axe murder house unchanged. The sadness and dread cling to you long after you leave. The weight of tragedy is felt in every room. Many overnight guests report psychological effects, feeling watched, touched, or overwhelmed by despair. Nightmares and strange occurrences often follow them home. The house finds your fears and preys on them. We call this spiritual attachment, when the energy latches onto you. That's why we take precautions, spiritual cleansings and prayers, and respect. Villisca tests your courage and sanity. Even skeptics leave with new beliefs. The house strips away your defenses, leaving you vulnerable. It's a reminder that real evil sometimes walks among us. Over a century later, the Villisca house stands as a dark icon of American true crime and the paranormal. The killer was never found. The questions remain. Who committed this atrocity, and why? The lack of justice fuels the restless energy within its walls. The house draws in those seeking answers, a perfect storm of tragedy and the supernatural. The victims were real, the horror was real, and the ghosts we believe are real. They are trapped in a loop, their voices echoing from the past. Will the mystery ever be solved? Unlikely. The secrets may have died with the killer, but perhaps the answer lies within the house itself. This is why we keep returning, listening, and searching for that one piece of evidence. Until